If Suited for Success is perhaps the most girly episode that MLP has to offer, then I would say that Green Isn't Your Color probably comes in at a close second. But just like Suited for Success, this episode makes for a great example of how entertaining MLP can be. As the episode begins, we see Fluttershy and Rarity at the local spa for their weekly get-together. Now, considering all the different treatments they're getting here, I have to wonder just how much all these activities would cost. And the fact that they are doing this every week adds even more evidence to just how independently wealthy Rarity is. I still get the sense that Fluttershy really wouldn't have the kind of money to do this on a weekly basis if it weren't for Rarity. Rarity has an opportunity to leave an impression on photo finish, and specifically wants Fluttershy to model some of her dresses. The fact that Rarity talks about how no pony has such grace and poise like Fluttershy actually says quite a lot, considering the kind of business that Rarity gets into. I'm sure that she has been through many fashion shows, so that goes to show just how much natural talent Fluttershy has. Of course, Fluttershy doesn't really think of herself that way, and certainly doesn't like being the center of attention. But with Rarity's special brand of insistence, Fluttershy is willing to put aside her hesitations to help out. In the next scene, we see Rarity stressing out over the dress Fluttershy is wearing. She is getting help from Twilight, Pinkie, and Spike, and all three of them get their moments to shine during this episode. Even though much of the focus is on Rarity and Fluttershy, some of the most memorable lines from this episode actually come from Pinkie and Twilight.
But forever!
When photo finish arrives, we get one of the more unique personalities to make an appearance in MLP. Being so random, stylish, and over the top, it's no wonder this character has inspired some really good fan works. Even her voice stands out quite a bit from everything else in MLP, making for an even more memorable performance. And I love seeing Rarity's reaction here. Of course, Rarity is looking forward to finally getting the attention she's been wanting all her life, and is rather heartbroken when photo finish actually wants Fluttershy instead. But Rarity immediately starts telling Fluttershy that she shouldn't let this opportunity go to waste, which actually shows quite a bit of maturity to her character. I mean, what would your first reaction be if your best friend got to live the dream you've always wanted and you are the one that is left behind? It's actually rather admirable that Rarity is being so supportive here. And a little over the top that Rarity insists on wearing a black cloak just so she can sulk. When Fluttershy gets on stage for the first time, I'm really feeling sorry for her. We've seen many examples of just how much Fluttershy doesn't want to be noticed, and now she is so far out of her comfort zone. It shows a lot of dedication when Fluttershy is willing to put herself through all of this just because Rarity begged her to do so. Fluttershy has never done this kind of thing before, and despite her natural talent, it is easy for us to see that she'd rather be just about anywhere else right now. But her hesitation at being on stage is actually working to her advantage, as everyone seems to love her timid nature. And it doesn't take long for Fluttershy's picture to start showing up everywhere. It is at this point that Rarity starts to feel envious of all the success. She may have been sulking before, but she really did want to see Fluttershy become a star. Although now it seems that everyone in Ponyville wants to see more of Fluttershy. And even though Fluttershy is already getting overwhelmed by all the attention, Rarity wishes that she was the one getting mobbed by strangers wherever she goes. Now, I realize that Rarity enjoys being the center of attention, and by itself I don't believe that that is a bad thing. However, we've seen just how much Rarity can be at her worst when she has been the center of attention. Granted, she did end up learning a lesson at the end of that episode, but we'll still be seeing more of this same kind of bad behavior next season. So honestly, I think it's actually a good thing that Rarity isn't getting this kind of attention from the paparazzi and the mob of fans. At least, not yet. There may be a time down the road where Rarity can handle that kind of attention with greater maturity, but at this point she still has much to learn. Later on, we see that Rarity has been waiting quite a while for Fluttershy to show up for their weekly spa treatment. Apparently it's been so long that Rarity's hooves have gotten pruny? That's rather odd to see. Rarity talks to Twilight about how jealous she is of Fluttershy and begs her not to tell anyone. And Twilight doesn't hesitate to do so. So of course we see Rarity leave just before Fluttershy arrives to apologize. And we get another over-the-top adorable moment from the timid Pegasus.
Feel better? No.
Twilight really wants to remedy the situation here, but
Forever!
I have to wonder just why Pinkie is so dedicated to the Pinkie Promise that she'll even follow Twilight around just to make sure she doesn't break it. And this isn't even close to how much she overreacts in the next season during the last roundup. Applejack may be the element of honesty, but it seems that Pinkie is the one who is the most dedicated in getting others to keep their promises. Twilight comes up with the idea of making Fluttershy look bad at her next photo shoot, in the hopes that the crowd will no longer be interested in her. And the animators have a lot of fun with all the creative ways they get Fluttershy to be as ungraceful as possible. And at first, Rarity is actually smiling at Fluttershy's failings, but then she realizes just how quickly the crowd is starting to turn on Fluttershy. And she actually starts cheering and stamping in approval despite the intentionally horrid display. Having no knowledge about Twilight's magic here, it's rather admirable to see Rarity be able to put aside all of her jealousy in the moment when she saw how much Fluttershy needed her. Of course, this just makes Fluttershy all the more popular, so Twilight's plan ended up backfiring because Rarity was so supportive. Although the fact that the crowd ends up booing at Fluttershy and cheering for her again only 30 seconds later is both puzzling and surprisingly accurate when it comes to mob mentality. When Fluttershy and Rarity finally start talking to each other, it's hilarious to see all the facial expressions that Twilight comes up with to try and keep their secrets. Again, it's rather puzzling that people can feel the need to keep their true feelings from each other just because they are afraid of what others might think. But again, at the same time, it's surprisingly accurate because I've known people to do this exact thing just because they want to avoid conflict. I think it's fantastic that they ended up using Rarity and Fluttershy to give this kind of message, because it was something that Fluttershy was shown to have trouble with during Suited for Success. I honestly wish that more people would learn this kind of lesson, as it really goes a long way in helping to promote understanding. And of course, they still managed to end this scene with an enjoyable bit of randomness.
Spike has a crush on Rarity! And you are doing so well!
Overall, Green Isn't Your Color is another episode that makes me really glad that I started doing these reviews and analysis videos. I'm still finding more to enjoy each time I am coming across these old episodes. Although seeing all of the interactions between Rarity and Fluttershy here makes me wish that there were more episodes that made these two the main focus. We do get a bit of that during Putting Your Hoof Down, but I'm still wishing that there was more. Aside from that though, we still get some great moments from the other characters, particularly from Pinkie Pie, who keeps stealing the spotlight every now and then. And I really do like the message they present here. I think we should be more willing to trust our friends and loved ones with how we really feel. But what do you think? What parts of this episode really stand out for you? Can you relate with what the characters are going through? Do you believe in the message they are trying to encourage here? I would like to hear your thoughts about Green Isn't Your Color, and here's to hoping that we get more interactions between these characters in the future. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.